Hi and welcome. I'm Dave Johnson from the Employee Assistance Program, and I'm happy to have my longtime friend Cheryl Confer here with us. She's a licensed mental health counselor and an employee assistance specialist with Parkview Health. And Cheryl, as you know, I've referred many folks to you throughout the years. Um, Mainly, I think, because I know in therapy and counseling, you help people to find their voice and their anchors. I take a mindfulness-based approach to the care that we provide. That's kind of the big umbrella that I speak to. But during the time of the pandemic, I'm curious about all sorts of things, in particular, maybe some of the things that you've seen and ways perhaps that people can anchor themselves with some of the stressors that are taking place. So, what are you seeing as folks are meandering back to school and to work? Maybe they've been secluded in this virtual environment.
Yeah, well, clearly, as you know, people come to me, or when you were with us, came to you when they're feeling overwhelmed with stress, when their normal coping isn't working for them. And so you take those kind of stressors that people have in daily life, and then you add to it something as significant as a very serious illness. So that really exacerbates people's stress, people's anxiety, and so we're getting a lot of that, obviously, people coming at that point of not having what you would consider the normal coping skills to deal with things. Obviously, early on in this whole thing, there was a lot of just helping people regroup, get a set of, get a foundation back under their feet. Many of us had this dramatic switch to our work, to our family life, and it created a lot of unrest. And so a lot of my guidance at that point was just helping people get some balance
Mm.
and develop some kind of structure. One of the things that happened, and I think you experienced it, I experienced it, was there was so much rapid change, and it was constant in those first couple of months. And a term that came out during that time that I latched onto was adaptation fatigue. And that is, people were just tired of just constantly making changes. And so finding something that grounded, something that was normal and routine became very important.
You know, oftentimes I use my coffee mug, just to smell it, to feel it,
Yeah.
to sip it, to ground. And folks I know use all kinds of anchors, and now that folks are returning to school and work, but there's still a lot of fear and the isolation, the depression, the anxiety. So just maybe say a little bit about anchors and things that folks, our listeners, might be able to do.
Yeah, my big thing, my big message has been helping people to re-engage into their life, because there was so much that was taken out and shut down that people just were a little bit frozen, I think, and immobilized. And so doing things routine, going on walks, engaging with family and friends in the best safe way possible,
Yeah.
taking dogs for walks. I was so glad that this happened in the springtime. I thought, oh, how horrible if this would have started in, January, February.
Mm.
To get people outside, get the body moving. The things that are typical that keep us anchored are things like our faith or activities that we do, hobbies that we enjoy. A lot of people, because our activities were closed down, had to regroup. So a lot of folks missed their exercise because their gyms closed. And I was like, hey, there's so much available online. Pull up a yoga class, pull up a meditation. One of the things Parkview offered was the Calm app. There was lots of variety on there that people could use. So implementing a routine with some of those factors that keep us calm and that also give us a sense of peace or joy became very critical.
Mm. We have people breathe and recognize that we're breathing. Come off the autopilot our body is breathing us to to us notice in our breathing. Is there any particular breathing technique or any particular strategy around the breath that you've done?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent of diaphragmatic breathing. I think anybody who's come to me over the years with anxiety or stress has gotten that link sent back to them on to learn how to do that. Some people have learned how to do it because they are uh, band people. You know, they grew up playing an instrument or they're singers. Some yoga classes teach it pretty well, but in general, people don't really know how to breathe. And so, I mean, we breathe automatically, and yet we don't know how to breathe, right? So, teaching people how to breathe from the diaphragm so that the brain is activated out of that fight flight state and into rest and digest. And that's a concept that most people understand when you explain it to them. It does take practice because that's not how we breathe normally. And under stress, that's not how we're breathing. And yet, it's a really quick way to regain control. And you can just easily feel the body shift out of that anxious state and into a state of more calm and rest. Sometimes I will actually even, teach it in the office, but generally it's a link that I'm sending to them so they can learn on their own and practice and have always had good results with that.
Good. That's wonderful. Any final words? I mean, you talked about the velocity of change and adaptation. Any final words that you have to anchor us in hope? Because I think all of us want to know when this is going to end. And at the same time, life has a way of happening, and it's sometimes traumatic.
One of the messages I've been giving out is that we have to live with it. When we first heard that it was going to be short term, and then we hear that, oh, this could be a year or longer. Well, that can be very daunting. And as I've said to people, there's lots of things we have to live with, whether it be an illness. I've had a friend who lived with terminal cancer for 9 years. And I mean, she still lived her life. And that's what we have to do with something like this. How do we live with the threat of a virus out there, but still be responsible, still be engaging in our world the best way that we can, even though this is going on?
I appreciate all that you've done for the frontline folks as well as the community at large, Cheryl. So thank you for your kind and encouraging and hopeful words today. And I hope that you continue to be the anchor for the folks and take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah. So peace. Thank you.
See ya.